Live at Onigashima! I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Anthony, and today is the fated day. 2023 is over, and we're doing a top 30 strongest One Piece characters. We each have our own lists that you can see below here, all blacked out, and we're gonna go one by one, and we're gonna, you're gonna see our rankings for these top 30 here. We don't know each other's lists. Should be a fun one. Hey, this is Anthony. I just wanted to get on and let y'all know that we recorded this pre 11:04, so this is 11:03 and before. So we're not including stuff like the Kuma punch. Obviously, the list might be a little bit different if we were including all that. Frankie might be on this list and such. But yeah, just a heads up. Back to the video.
Yeah, so overall, just some ground rules to lay down. One of the things is we're not adding in like characters that are pretty much feat list. For instance, off the top of my head, like Emu and Dragon, honorable mentions, but we haven't really seen anything from them, so they're not going to be on our list.
Yeah, there's
some other quick honorable mentions that I want to put through on my side. Red Hair Pirates, I don't really have any of them. Buggy is definitely somewhere here. Buggy is an honorable mention just because he's goated. Garling is on there. Weevil's on there. Those are characters we haven't really seen fight that much.
Yeah, I would say for me, the some other honorable mentions would be like a lot of the Blackbeard pirates. Even though we've seen like a little bit of what they can do, I feel like we're still, even they're kind of featful. Like Lafitte, we have nothing from. Katarina Devon, we don't really have anything from. Other ones would be like Shiryu. No, not Shiryu. I'm sorry.
Like Burgess.
No, not Burgess, bro. I love Burgess. He would be on the list. Shiki. Shiki's somebody that's now like confirmed in the story, but it's like we haven't really seen anything from him. So people like that aren't on the list. Also, no dead characters, obviously.
Yeah, so no Roger, no Whitebeard. Don't worry about that. It's not top 30 all time.
Yeah.
It's top 30 right now.
Top 30 living, breathing characters. All right. Let's get started. So you want to go first? You want to both reveal our number 30?
So yeah, so for number 30, I have Rob Lucci.
Rob Lucci, number 30.
Who,
okay.
Honestly, wasn't about to make my list for a minute, but I thought, he has some good stuff. He has an awakening now. Let's put him on here for now.
I think Rob Lucci's on my list. I'll just give you that away right now. But man, like, I could agree he's a little bit featless and he's a little bit of a fraud.
Well,
but
I
like,
don't think his problem is
awaken.
he's featless. I think he just gets defeated by people too easily these days. He got beat up by Luffy in an instant, which granted, Luffy's pretty high up on my list, so it makes sense.
He's losing
Getting
like top
kind of
tiers.
washed by Zoro though. He was losing to the Seraph. Like all we've seen him do since he got back, he lost to Stussy. He's just been losing. It's L after L for this guy.
Why is he on
L
your
for
list?
Lucci. Because he does have an awakening.
Yeah.
He did keep up with Gear 2nd Luffy pre-time skip, which is like Luffy is not.
He was going to
then.
blows with Gear 5 Luffy now. He was like, I mean,
He's
he
trained
lost
for these
but...
last 2 years now. He did take punches from Gear 5 Luffy. He was swapping hands with Zoro last time we saw. So he's not useless. He's just not that high for me.
For
sure. Who's your number 30?
My number 30, I got Kobe, number 30. So
Kobe.
Okay, so I barely put Kobe on this list. So Kobe, my thing is like, he's got Conqueror's Haki, and it was a really big shockwave that he did on Hachinosu. Like, I feel like that attack alone kind of puts Kobe in a tier where like he could probably one-shot a lot of people below him. There's a lot of people that I've debated putting in this spot over him, and I think that you could totally argue that, but I'm gonna give it to our boy Kobe here for number 30.
I don't think it's necessarily bad to put Kobe here, and honestly, I had Kobe at number 30 before I kicked him off for Lucci, so I've been pretty much in the same spot. The only thing, my problem with Kobe is not necessarily a strength feat is what he's lacking. It's more of an everything else. He doesn't really fight anyone. He doesn't have good combat. There's no chance even if he hits hard, how is he gonna hit these people?
The battle knowledge is just not there. I mean, we saw what
we need more from him, but we'll get there.
I think
for number 29, I got my boy Jinbei.
You got Jinbei this low on the list?
I got Jinbei 29.
Dude,
hey, I mean, for a Straw Hat being here, like, I'll be honest now, I got 4 of them on here, which means he's number 4 for me.
This is ridiculous.
So,
It's absolutely ridiculous that you have him this low. He has a bounty of 1 billion or more, whatever it is, 1.3 or something like that. But
And again, I think he has the potential to show more. The best we've seen him do, and it is good, he's knocked over Big Mom twice.
Yeah.
Good, but he didn't even really incapacitate her that much.
Who's Who was pretty strong. He had some feats against Who's Who. All right, well,
He was locked in a jail cell for a while, so who knows?
My number 29 is Queen. I got Queen here.
Queen.
Yeah. I definitely think Queen is above Jinbei. I don't know if Queen's on your list, but I
have Queen above Jinbei. I agree with that.
Dude, that's ridiculous, bro. I think that Jinbei would smack Queen in a fight, but
I think Queen is just more versatile than Jinbei.
Yeah,
though I will say in Jinbei's favor, he can't control water, which is a huge weakness to a lot of the people on this list and in the series. But I think Queen and a lot of other people on this list have ways of either getting around it or at least finding a way to deal with it.
No chance. If Queen was fighting Jinbei like at sea level, Jinbei would wreck him. Like it's only even a fair fight.
I guess so.
Jinbei
that's the other thing.
Queen
It depends where it's happening. Also, if it's in the sea or near the sea, Jinbei is definitely gonna win. If it's flying through Onigashima on an island, then I feel like Queen could still have the advantage. Like, he just has a versatile kit. Jinbei can't really do much against the lasers. Like, sure, he could block one. It takes a lot of armament hockey. Then how's he going to block the 50 other of them? He's not faster than Queen. He can't deal with the invisibility. Queen's just versatile.
I don't know, man. Like, I think you're discrediting Jinbei's durability, like, way too much. But I'm going to go ahead and do my next 3 here. 28, 27, 26. So, 28... I got Lucci, so we talked about.
Oh, we got Lucci here.
I got Lucci here. He's not that much higher up, but that's where he is. 27, I got Kuma, and then at 26, I got Katakuri. So
this is crazy to me. I just want to make a comment that how are we gonna have Katakuri lower than Jinbei right now?
Bro, like, are you kidding me, dude? You're underrating Jinbei like crazy.
I think you're overrating him. Katakuri can see the future. Like, Jinbei's not touching this guy. Jinbei doesn't have the Conqueror's haki that Katakuri has. Like, Kat is just, again, more versatile, has stronger armament haki. He was able to go blow to blow.
I don't think he has stronger armament
haki. Do you think Jinbei is beating Gear 4 Luffy? Because I don't. Katakuri was. Like, until...
Yeah,
like,
no. Jinbei is definitely beating Gear 4 Luffy, for sure.
What?
For sure. Yeah. Jinbei now? Yeah.
Oh my god. We need to make some videos on this. This is crazy.
Dude, Jinbei.
I think you have a little low, but I agree we need to see more out of him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I know that he has armament and everything now, and like I feel like he's gonna go high up on way higher up on the list like very soon. But
especially when he's about to fuck up Saturn like this.
Yeah.
He might go up. But my next 3, I got 28, Queen. You know, not much higher than you, but you know, higher than Jinbei.
Oh my god.
27, I actually have Boa.
And
then 26, people are gonna be surprised about this one. I got Aramaki, Green Bull.
Oh my god.
So
wait a minute. You have Queen on the list, which means I'm assuming you have King on this list. Who Aramaki fucked up, dude. That's not okay.
Look.
Why do you have him? Why do you have Green Bull so low, dude?
I understand that line of logic, and it makes a lot of sense. But King was weakened after the fight. He was probably caught off guard by Aramaki.
What do you mean probably, bro? What are you talking about? They had the whole Beast Pirates there against one guy.
Were all in Udon prison. They were probably taken prisoners after the war. Why else would they be in the prison?
To retreat, to escape, to heal or whatever, like you're saying. I can agree that they're maybe in a weakened state, but injured. Okay, even if they're injured, bro, literally all of them were there. I
think Aramaki, he has not shown us a lot. When he was on screen, he got bodied by Yamato, and he was barely keeping up with the swordsman. Maybe that's not giving him enough credit. But he got bodied at Marijua also by Karasu and Morley, who
argued They were holding hands, bro.
Okay, either way, he didn't win. And those characters are nowhere near my top 30. Granted, most of that is because they're featless, relatively, right now. But I'm just saying, I want to see more than him. I get it. He's an admiral. He's supposed to be strong. But I think he's a fraud, Merle.
Can we talk about your placement of Boa Hancock down here? Okay, so I'm trying to think of like who else is on your list. Boa has like one-shot capabilities, like pretty hard. Like I think that's like really underrated. And it's not just a level up for like she can like kick people and like their like their whole self will just like fall off because like she can turn you to stone just by touching you. So like
while I do agree Bo is very strong, it again comes down to we need to see more out of her. And I also think that most of the characters above her on my list have a lot of ways of dealing with her. Because yes, if she touches you, you're probably going to get turned to stone. But again, it depends how strong your conqueror or just your hockey is in general. We saw Law break out of other devil fruit type powers. We've seen people not be affected by Boa's fruit before based on their hockey. So what makes necessarily her turning people to stone any different? So I think she's strong, but I just need to see more out of her. Again, she's mostly just there because she can one-shot a lot of male characters. Like you can see here, I'm gonna have Sanji higher than her, but obviously she's gonna beat Sanji.
I'm not even like talking about that. Like the Conqueror's hockey, like she's proficient in like every kind of hockey. The only thing you can't give her is like advanced or whatever. But I don't know. That's a little low for me. That's a little disrespectful for me. I personally I have Aramaki above Boa
I can't believe
as well.
You have Katakuri below Boa.
For sure, dude. Oh my god.
For sure.
Yeah, no,
oh
dude.
my god.
I think Katakuri, like, listen, I think the future sight thing is really, 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 really strong, but I think people mad overrate Katakuri. Like, the fact that he lost again. Who did he lose against? Caesar Clown's gas that made him and Oven like punch each other in the face on the cover story. Like, I get that he's like durable and strong and everything, but like,
we're talking about cover story scaling,
dude. It's canon.
That's just a disorientation. They didn't like lose.
Okay.
Like it was just
Boa Hancock,
so
dude. Boa Hancock would totally fuck up Katakuri with the Mero Mero no Mi. No chance.
There's no chance,
dude. He would fall. He would fall in love. He would look at her and be like, oh my god. Like,
I'm gonna agree to disagree.
Katakuri's
and we can get back to this wherever I see Boa on your list. We'll see how far she gets.
All right.
My next three, though, I got Katakuri next, so not too much higher than you, but you know, higher than Boa. King, my boy.
King of
And then I hear one other thing, by the way. I grouped all the Seraphim. Same with the Gorosei.
Okay.
I feel like they're not all distinct enough quite yet for me to want to separate them.
Yeah.
They all, relatively from what we've seen, have the same power. Obviously, I think the Mihawk one's going to be a little bit stronger, but I still think relative in power.
Yeah, I agree. I have the same.
That being said, you asked me earlier how I have King above Aramaki. Granted, I don't have him much higher, but I think King, he just has the speed. I think if he's using his Lunarian powers, Aramaki doesn't really have a way to get around that. He can't really damage King that much. King is a natural counter to Aramaki with the fire, and granted, even though Aramaki is like, you think fire can hurt me, the one obvious weakness I have, I think he's boasting a little bit. I think if you have really strong fire, like we saw King have the magma, I don't necessarily think Green Bull is kind of, you know, tanking that. So that's kind of why I have him here.
You want to know what I think? I think you're fucking delusional. Because we literally saw Aramaki beat King. But even if it was weak and stay, whatever the fuck you want to say, I think that, you know, Aramaki is at least implied. He's an admiral, man. Like, he can't be this far down. Like, I agree. Like, he's the weakest of the admirals. Like, I have him the lowest of all the admirals. But, like, it's implied that he literally said, he was like, if I lost to a bunch of, like, weaklings like you, I'd lose face, implying that he thought he could just like no diff all the people there. The only person that was really giving him trouble on Wano that he fought, besides Shanks obviously, was Yamato, who we both have higher obviously, but like there's no other.
But he didn't say that to King. He said that to the 9 Scabbards, who are nowhere on either of our lists.
No. He said that to the. What do you mean? What he said about like losing face? He said that to King and them. He said it right to their face.
I'd have to go back and check that.
Yeah.
But
it was like, wow, they were like complaining, and he was like, "Shut up, you guys! If I were to lose you, whatever."
I don't doubt that Aramaki will probably move up my list at some point, but from what I've seen so far, I have no faith in him.
I agree. He is a fraud, and I'm gonna put my next 3 up. I don't remember what. Let me see what I did. Oh yeah. Okay, so I got King here at 25. So
we have King and Katakuri pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. Yeah, I would say King is a little bit stronger than Katakuri. There's just like a little bit too much for Katakuri to deal with, in my opinion. 24, I got Marco.
Wow.
Who I've moved around my list a little bit, and then 23 I got Seraphim. So we have actually
So we
Seraphim
got
at
the
the same.
Seraphim about the same strength.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's crazy to me though that you have Marco below the Seraphim, especially because you have Boa above the Seraphim.
Yeah, dude.
If
Oh
this
my
is the
god.
case.
You think that Boa sucks, bro? I think Boa.
I don't think Boa sucks. I just don't think she's beating Marco. Marco has infinite, like, okay, let's
I don't
say
think
she
Boa
turns a
was
part of his
having.
body to stone. He breaks that part off and regenerates it because he's a phoenix. Like, he has the stamina, he has the healing, he has the strength. We saw him tussle with King and Queen at the same time. We saw him tussle with Kizaru at Marineford. I mean, he wasn't winning, but he wasn't losing either. They were kind of holding their own against each other.
I think Marco and Boa are like in the same tier. I just think that the Mero is more broken than people are giving it credit for, and I think that like she could probably turn all of Marco to stone, and I don't think he could heal from that at that point. That one's kind of like a contentious one for me. Like I would say like this range of characters.
Marco can fly. Like, how is she ever even gonna catch him unless he decides to come down to hit her?
But well, that's the thing is like, okay, yeah, he can fly, but like at some point they would have to have like a confrontation. He is fast. I'll give him that. Like Marco, I think
his confrontation could literally be shooting out flames from a distance, and she can't do anything. But we're not gonna get into the individual versus battles because I feel like we're gonna be here forever if we end up doing that.
Listen, I'm saying Marco and Boa I think are in the same echelon.
I want to see your list until we get to Boa.
Well, yeah. Like Boa's coming up. Don't worry. Like Boa's on the list.
So who do you got next?
All right, so 22, I got Jinbei, which criminal that you have him lower than all these other motherfuckers, especially Queen.
I don't think he's necessarily stronger than Queen. Obviously, that's why I have him this low. I don't think, like, if you put Jinbei in Sanji or Zoro's spot, I don't think he's winning, especially against King. I definitely don't think Jinbei's beating King or Katakuri.
I don't know. I think Jinbei is underrated. Like, I think all these guys here, like 22 to 26, are all like pretty relative. 21, Boa Hancock.
There she is.
So these guys I think are all like pretty relative. I would put, you know, I maybe could move Jinbei around or whatever, like move Marco around. I think Katakuri is pretty solidly like low here. Maybe the only person I could see Katakuri like maybe 1v1ing and doing okay is,
I feel like you're just jaded by the fact that we saw him fighting so early on into, and I know that's weird to say, but so early on into the time skip.
It's only been like a month
okay, but not in terms of time like that, but he's Luffy's third fight in the time skip, basically. He has Caesar, Doffy, and then Cat. So it's like, by those standards, he looks weak, but we got to remember that Luffy at that point is super strong. Like, he's getting to Yonko level. Like, he's not quite there yet, but he can take out a lot of really strong opponents, and Katakuri didn't lose to him. Like, Katakuri
because Katakuri was stronger than him at that point, but like Katakuri's not stronger than all these other motherfuckers. Like Boa Hancock is like, literally has a higher bounty than him, first of all. But
okay, but one barely, but she's also the captain of her crew and has a lot more secrets than Kat does. Kat is the second in command, which we've seen constantly get lower bounties, except in one single case, and it's because it's Marine Hunter, Mihawk. But other than that, the second in command, or even just anybody lower, always gets a lower bounty. And Boa has all the connections and knows about Marie Joie that they would want to keep under wraps also. She also leads an entire nation, unlike Katakuri, who's, you know, the underling of somebody else.
This is
like,
slander. This is Boa Hancock slander. I think
it's not slander. We literally, like, her strongest feat that we've seen so far is what she kicked, like, Smoker from getting to Luffy. And didn't even turn him to stone. Like, she lost to Blackbeard. Are we counting that as a feat? Like,
I don't think she lost. She didn't lose to Blackbeard. I think she would have gotten. I think she actually would have like been able to 1v1 Blackbeard if it wasn't caught off guard, which we saw in the anime. But I'm done talking about Boa. What are your 22 and 21?
All right, no more Boa. I got Shiryu, and then I got Yamato. So let me start with Shiryu.
Even on your list.
So I think, and maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't have him on my list because of the whole feat list thing. But I do think we've seen a good amount from him. We've seen him beat Magellan. We've seen him stab Garp. And granted, while both of those were a little underhanded and kind of backstabby and not like, you know, straight up one-on-ones, that is kind of his fighting style, and he does have the devil fruit to support that. And we've seen before that just base observation hockey doesn't necessarily help with invisibility. Like Sanji couldn't detect Queen when he was invisible, and Sanji, we've been shown, has pretty good observation hockey. It's not like top tier, but like it's pretty good. Like he was able to sense Katakuri about to snipe him with the jelly bean. So I think Shiryu's invisibility is going to be underrated. I think he has taken out strong opponents. We do have like just word feats from him, like just people saying different things, like everyone being scared of who he was. But I could see not putting him on this list also.
That's my thing, is like, I don't know, like his only feat to me really, like he beat Magellan, I guess, but Magellan's not on my list.
Magellan's not on my list either. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. But yeah, if you think Magellan could beat any of these people, like you're fucking crazy. But
maybe Lucci. Big L.
Nah, bro. Magellan would just shit himself.
Yeah, my bad. Maybe Aramaki.
Oh my god, dude. But Shiryu, like the stabbing Garp thing, I don't know, man. Garp kind of let himself get stabbed. I need to see more. I would imagine that Shiryu moves up on the list. I agree, but for
I
me,
wouldn't say let himself get stabbed. I would say put himself in the way so Kobe wouldn't get stabbed.
Sure,
that's not the same
but that's
as
not
straight tanking it though.
That's fine, but that's still not like Shiryu. I wouldn't put Shiryu above Garp for that reason. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you didn't.
I mean,
I'm hoping Garp is on the list.
So I guess I want to go over, besides just Yamato, these next few, because I have them all kind of within the same range: Yamato, Kid, and Kuma.
Okay.
So especially Yamato and Kid, I think in terms of attack power and like output of damage, they can do a lot of the same. They're both very strong. We've been shown that they can kind of at least like go blow to blow with Kaido, not entirely, but you know, on occasion, like 1 or 2 blows. Maybe Kid loses out a little bit in that aspect, but what I will give Kid is he's very durable. He was able to tank hits from Kaido and Big Mom, which is no laughing matter, and not just like one. He took a lot of hits from Big Mom. He has the metal plating to kind of like, you know, shield himself from damage. He can make himself this really big target. Like, I think Kid has a lot going for him, and while I have clowned on him a lot in the past, in the present, and will in the future, I do think he's pretty strong.
I think for me, Kid just does not have the offensive power to get to Yamato, because like Yamato was throwing with Kaido and like, you know, pretty okay. Big Mom and Kid were like throwing, and Kid was getting fucked up like really bad until like, you know, he busted out his big final move because Law asked him like, yo, you got anything else? And he's like, I'm not fucking telling you. But then eventually like he did the big laser or whatever.
One thing I want to throw at that is the fact that Yamato, when going against Kaido, I think the main difference is Big Mom had a lot more like sneaky tactics. She had like her homies to help her out and attack from different angles, so it was a lot trickier to fight. On top of that, Yamato has fought Kaido before. Like they told us like they've sparred before, and that's how Yamato trained. So Yamato also knows Kaido's fighting pattern. Like it was said in the thing, and that's why she was also able to hold him off longer than most other people could have.
I guess that's fine.
So like, and I'm not saying she's not weak. Obviously, in terms of strength, she's strong enough to keep up. That's a feat in itself. But in terms of how many times they were getting hit, like Yamato knew where Kaido, not necessarily knew, but could kind of perceive like, oh, he's going to do something like this, so let me block in this way, or let me dodge in this way. So I think that is one of the differences there, but it's why I have them so close to each other.
I think Yamato goes higher just because like the blows with Kaido thing, like although you're right, I think that it shows that he has advanced conqueror's hockey. Like Yamato is only able to like do that to Kaido because of that.
Okay, and I think I don't like that leap in logic.
It's not a leap in logic. It's just like that's what they literally said about being able to like hit these Yonko level people, and like Kid only was able to do that when like he awakened and like had I don't know, like even then like,
we were just, like, seeing Kaido get damaged by things that were not advanced conquerors. We saw Luffy punch him and start doing damage before Luffy figured out what advanced conquerors is. We saw Killer do damage, we saw Law do damage, and they don't even have conquerors hockey confirmed. Just being able to keep up in strength does not mean she has advanced conquerors hockey. Were they doing damage, or were they just hitting Kaido? We literally, Killer took his blades, and you see Kaido in the same panel with the face of pure pain. Same thing when Law does like his gamma knife to him. Like they do damage to Kaido, but it's
Well,
not.
the
You don't
internal
necessarily
the
need it.
internal damage is different, but we'll get to law. So like, let me talk about like Kuma. You have Kuma up here, above Kid and them. I don't think Kuma has like enough feats to be this high above like Conqueror's users. Like what is Kuma doing against?
I think it's more so his devil fruit's really busted. So we haven't really been able. We've never seen anyone break out of like his bubbles, right? Like if he sends somebody somewhere, they're going there. And granted, I don't think that'll work for everybody. I think there's probably a range on that. But until we see the upper range of it, like
well, they were saying
he can kind of do that. And on top of that, he can absorb a lot of pain and a lot of damage. Like we saw at Thriller Bark when he was gonna give the pain to Zoro, he was like, "Dang, I could probably take this, but I'm probably gonna pass out too." But that was Luffy and Zoro's pain on top of each other, and Zoro, I think, can tank a lot. Besides that, we've seen Kuma just take beating after beating after beating and not going down. He got punched in the face and lost his leg to Akainu, and he still kept running. Granted, he's a robot, but I think he's just durable. And I think the durability with a really strong Devil Fruit is kind of what puts him so high on this list for me. But I could see him being lower also.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of those like were just more like skirmishes. Like I don't think we've seen Kuma do like a big one-on-one fight to where like he got away from Akainu. He didn't like tank Akainu. I guess he tanked it kind of because like, but you know he still has all that damage and now he's on Egghead. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna go down soon. If he kept on fighting Akainu, he just would have fucking lost. But I could see that. Like, you know, Kuma's this weird character because I agree with you. Like I think that his devil fruit's like super fucking busted. And I expect him again to go up higher on the list like once we see whatever he does to Saturn. Since we're in the top 20 now, I'm gonna go ahead and do my 20 and 19, which my 20 is Aramaki.
Too high. Bring him lower on the list. But no, I think we went over this.
I'm not gonna talk more about Aramaki. And then I have Kid.
Okay.
So you know, relative here, like I think Kid is pretty strong, and I think he is underrated by the community a lot, and myself included. I am on the same wavelength as you about Kid. We have in pretty similar spots. I think all these characters so far have been like pretty you know,
overall, I'd say we're around the same range. It's just maybe one or two spots for each character going up and down.
Mm-hmm.
I would say our biggest so far are Kuma and Aramaki on each other's list.
Yeah, and Boa.
But I'm curious, since we've already talked about these characters, who do you have for your next like 2 or 3?
Okay, so I'll do the next 3. So 18 is 17, or 18, 17, 16. I got 18 Rayleigh, and then I got Garp.
Oh my god.
And then I got Sanji. So.
Real quick, I want to point out my 3 because I actually have Sanji number 16 also. So I think this is going to be a good segue into all that. But I got Marco 18, okay. Fuji Tora 17, and then Sanji 16. But go for it. Explain your Garp and Rayleigh so down low.
What do you mean so down low, bro? They're just old. That's the thing. Is like I think Garp and Rayleigh, they just like I don't know. Like they've said it themselves that they're just kind of like washed up. Like Rayleigh was struggling against Kizaru. Garp literally lost to Kuzan. I do think they have the feats. I just think that they're like old, and to me, like I just don't know if I see them beating some of the higher up people on this list. Like Sanji versus Garp, I think could be a real fight. I think that would be like a really like tough one. The fact that you have Fujitora below Garp and Rayleigh is weird to me because I feel like Fujitora is in his prime.
I think it's coming down to this with mine. So I already talked about Marco. I won't really go over that. I think same feats apply where he has really strong healing, really good devil fruit. He can keep up in terms of strength and speed. Solid fighter. Fujitora, I think it's kind of what I was saying earlier about Aramaki 2 and why I have him so much lower than you, is we haven't seen enough from him. Well, we have seen a lot. We haven't really seen him go all out.
He hasn't
right?
gone all out. Yeah,
and
no, I agree with that.
Even when he is quote unquote going all out, like at Marijois, he's kind of destroying the place, and it's not really what he's like supposed to be doing. So he's like kind of faking going all out, kind of not faking it. Even when he was letting Luffy escape, like he pretended to go all out but didn't. So I definitely think he could go higher. But again, until I see the upper limits of what he can do, I just can't put him past Sanji. So, and I do think a lot of my characters are going to fluctuate over time. Like Fujitora and Aramaki going to go higher.
Yeah,
which
Kuma's probably
same
gonna
with
go higher
Garp and
too.
Rayleigh for me. I think them being old is definitely going to play a factor as we go later into the story. I think they're just going to keep dropping on my list. I'm not going to lie. But from what we said right now, you just told me that they fought these two characters to a standstill, and it was two admirals, Kuzan and Kizaru. So, like, those aren't really bad feats, even to fight them to a standstill.
Well,
That still brings them
Rayleigh
above
was
a lot of
also
these people.
Rayleigh was also saying like, oh, I don't know if I could go against like Blackbeard, right? And
Hey,
like,
but to be fair, Blackbeard is crazy. Blackbeard, we know,
but
scarred Shanks.
yeah, but we don't
We
know
know he
how.
took the devil fruit.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
don't,
yeah.
but he did that pre-devil fruit, and Shanks said he was not caught off guard. He told that to Whitebeard. So the fact that he wasn't
I
caught
think
off guard
that okay,
and
okay,
Blackbeard
okay.
still
I
didn't.
don't think that's fair to give that to Blackbeard as like a feat against Shanks. You're right, like that is a thing, but that could easily be just because like the will of D, right? Like that's like plot for Luffy and Blackbeard and them. Like I think part of the will of D is just that they're able to get away with these like miraculous feats. Like they're just like the fated people, and that's why Blackbeard like puts so much trust into like doing what he's doing, and he waits until like the time is right to strike. But like if we're talking about just like open seas 1v1,
so, okay,
like
I don't
without
disagree
plot,
with that it is
you know,
plot, but like the story's gonna have plot. I'm sorry, like Blackbeard is just going to be the strongest at the end. Like he's gonna have
at the
plot
end, but
armor,
he's
like,
not. But not right now. He doesn't have to be like in the moment. Like he's gonna get stronger. Characters can get stronger. It's just like it's hard for me to put him to put. Well, Blackbeard's clearly higher on this list for me, regardless. but like, you know what I mean? Like, Boa and Rayleigh to me are like almost comparable. Rayleigh probably a little higher because he has the advanced Conqueror's Haki.
See, because I don't agree. Like, do you think Boa could keep up with Kizaru? Because I don't.
No.
And, like,
No. But I don't think Rayleigh could keep up with Kizaru now either.
Do you think Sanji can?
No.
Well, but he did.
No,
like,
he didn't. What do you mean?
It was 2 years ago, but over 2 years, like his power's not going to diminish that much.
I don't know. Like they're now post time skip is when they're saying like, oh, I'm getting old. Like this is like, they weren't really saying that pre-time.
No, they were saying that before. Rayleigh, even when fighting Kizaru, was like, if I wasn't old, I could have done better here. I mean, but
listen. I think regardless, yeah, we know that the admirals are stronger than these old motherfuckers, but I don't know. That's just what I see. Like maybe I'm underrating them. Maybe I just think the new generation is stronger than the old generation already, personally. But
one thing that I will say though is it seems like we're pretty set on where Sanji is. All these characters below him, I do think Sanji can beat the likes of Kid, Yamato.
Yeah.
He again very versatile. He's really strong.
Wait. You said Yamato? You said Yamato? Wait, no. Yamato hasn't popped up on my list yet, bro. You have to see. Okay. I want to get into the next few. Let's
get to the next few then.
So let me do 15, 14, 13 because I'm pretty sure I remember what I put here. So the next at 15, I got Yamato. So
great segue there.
So
real quick, let's talk about this before you do your
okay.
Because I think Sanji would beat Yamato.
Nah.
While Yamato does have the Conqueror's Haki, like you said, it's not advanced Conqueror's Haki. She can't really fight Sanji if he's invisible. And Sanji inherently counters Yamato because fire and ice.
Yamato has boobs, which inherently counters Sanji. But regardless of that,
okay.
The fire ice thing, I don't know. Like I don't think in One Piece like that has mattered as much, except for in the crocodile fight. Like
except in the crocodile fight, the NL fight.
Okay,
the
like these
Jinbei versus Ace fight.
Okay, like all these like non-hockey fights in the pre-time skip, but like. You know, it's not like Marco is. Do you think Marco beats Jinbei? You know, like
yeah, that's why I have him higher.
Okay,
on my list.
Well, that's my point. Is that like Jinbei is a lot.
But Marco's also a different type of fire. Like his fire doesn't even like burn people half the time; it heals them. Like
okay, well, I just think, Sanji beats like, Jinbei. Like same shit. You know, like. I think that Yamato just has the offensive power to like get. I know that Sanji. This is another.
Sanji is also durable, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And no, I know you're probably gonna say the same thing. Right?
Yamato's
like, he has that
durable
exoskeleton. Too. Is Yamato durable? Like
yeah, he is. Yeah, he's a mythical zone.
they didn't take that many hits from Kaido before being like out of the fight. And granted, didn't really go down in the fight, kind of stepped back and let Luffy take the fight.
Yeah.
They were looking worse for wear, honestly.
Okay, but he was beating Aramaki and everything. Like I think that
I think Sanji could beat Aramaki. Dude, bad example.
Whatever. All right. So what's your 15?
Oh, here we go. My boy, Zoro D Goat.
Oh,
15.
Okay.
Which clearly you have him a little bit higher than I do. And I think one of the big distinctions is you probably have him higher because I have, as you can see, Garp and Rayleigh aren't on my list yet.
Yeah,
I think Garp and Rayleigh are a little bit stronger than you're giving them credit for, which moves Zoro on my list. But I do have Zoro and Sanji back to back. I think they're very relative in strength. While I do think Zoro is stronger than Sanji in a fight, I think Zoro is faster, can break through that exoskeleton. The only thing he'd have trouble with is maybe the invisibility, but we've seen Zoro master the breath of all things where he can cut through anything and hear different things using his other senses. I think Zoro is just going to win that fight. So I imagine you probably have Zoro pretty close.
He is, yeah. So let me do my next two because I think that we're going to have this a little flipped around here. So 14, I got Law.
I'm going to reveal mine then. My 14 is also Law.
Okay. And then I have Zoro. So here's my thing with Zoro versus Law. I've gone back and forth with this a lot, and I know we've talked about this. And that Law is trickier, that he has like more up his sleeve, like he's awakened, he's got all this crazy shit. I think that if Zoro hits Law, it's fucking over, right? I think that if Zoro is able to do any kind of fucking Onigiri, Ashura, the king, like it's just too much. Like I think Zoro would get Law at the end of the day. Like I think it would be like a really tough one, but for me, like the more I think about it, Zoro really do just be the GOAT. He's almost cracking top 10 here.
I want to sit on that for a little bit because I disagree with that. I think that we've seen enough from Law in terms of durability that he'd be able to take some hits. We saw him get punched repeatedly by Big Mom, who is no slouch by any means.
Yeah, but punch is different than cut in half, bro. Like,
and that's the next part I want to talk about. So let's say he's cut in half. Law is the one person in this series, one of two people in the series, because Buggy, that wouldn't mind getting cut in half because of his devil fruit.
I don't know. That's not what Dressrosa said, bro. Like, he fucking got his arm cut off.
And then he put it back on.
Yeah, like, after he lost the fight, pretty much. He was going to lose to Doflamingo because of that. He's screaming in pain on the floor. He had to go back and get, like, Tontada healed from that. It's not like he did that himself.
Like he said it in that part also. He's like, I just had to expend all this energy to get away from Fujitora and then to save the Straw Hats, and then that's when Doflamingo caught him.
Okay, he would have okay, that's fine.
But
yeah,
let's say write down 1v1 Law versus Zoro. What's happening first? Zoro's blitzing Law, Law's putting up a room. As soon as Law has that room down, Zoro can't cut him because then he could just rearrange himself. And I don't think Law ever opens a fight without opening.
He never rearranges himself. He never. Well, I guess he could put like his heart.
He put his arm back on. We just went over this.
All right. Well, I'm not. Listen, here's what we'll write down for Zoro versus Law is that we'll make a video about this later. Yeah, this is like a whole topic.
Video.
What's your number 13? What's number 13 for you?
So my number 13, I have Sabo, and I think this is when we're starting to get into the really top tier ones. So I remember my 12 and 11. I'm gonna put them out here because you have them already. Rayleigh and Garp. Okay. So for Sabo, to bring him into the mix a little bit, he is very strong. We saw him beat Burgess single-handedly, and we know how strong Burgess is. We saw him. That was right when he got his Devil Fruit, so he's mastered it more now. He's broken to Marijois. He went up against the Gorosei and got out against all 5 of them, and we've seen so far what one of them can do. If one of them can use his abilities to hold Sanji down, being Saturn right now an Egghead, then why would all 5 of them not have, maybe not the same power, maybe something similar to be able to hold him down while Imu's there also, and he's able to resist it. Even if it's only Saturn doing it, he's still resisting it and still like running away from all of the other like 5 Gorosei plus Imu at the same time.
I love the Sabo gas. I'm on it. Like I think Sabo's strong as shit. I think he's stronger than Garp and Rayleigh. I think Sabo is in the category of like, you know, again, like I think with Garp and Rayleigh, like I think these like the people that you have lower than him, like your next like 4, like Sabo through Sanji right there, I think those are all stronger just because I think right now the next generation is already like surpassing them, but like, you know, that's a whole conversation within itself. But yeah, I think Sabo,
I think give it an arc and I might feel the same way. But as of right now, what I've seen up until chapter 1103, I'm pretty sure we're at, I just think Garp and Rayleigh could still hold their own, especially if they were able to hold their own against these admirals.
Well, one thing I want to say about Sabo also is that like I think Sabo is largely, he's not featless, like he fought Fujitora, but other than that, and obviously like he got out of there or whatever, but like he didn't really fight on Mary Joie, you know what I mean? But like I think that it's implied that Sabo's gonna have like another fight, like a real fight that's gonna give him some real feats, and he's gonna end up being like way higher on this list.
And I agree with all that, which is also why I don't have him higher than Garp and Rayleigh, is because while we have seen him be very impressive every time he shows up, he hasn't actually beaten anyone that substantial yet. I think he'll get there, and I think it's coming, but we just need to see it.
All right, so to round out this, and then we can get to the top 10, which is that's the big ones, right? So for 12 and 11, I got Blackbeard and Fujitora. So
Blackbeard's not in your top 10?
No, here's my thing about Blackbeard, bro, is that talk about featless, right? I need to see Blackbeard do some shit. Like I can respect the double devil fruit, and I can respect the Gura Gura being like that strong. He has hockey, but like I'm not seeing observation from this guy. I'm not seeing like advanced conquerors from this guy, and he's getting caught off guard still, but like, you know, like by random weird things. Like he got shot off of Pegasus, right? Like, and some characters above on this list, if that were to happen, you know, in a battle with them, like that'd be it, you know, like Blackbeard would go down. I think that Blackbeard is one of these characters that has like room for improvement and is going to be like top 1 at the end of the story, and like probably might even beat Shanks soon. Like there's a lot of theories about that, but like right now where we're at in the story, like Blackbeard needs to do more for me personally.
So a few things. One, he's already beaten Shanks. He got the scar on Shanks.
No,
so
I don't think that
we've been through that. We'll go over it again. I get it. It was off screen. It's for plot, but I think that's more of what it seems like your problem with Blackbeard is we haven't seen a lot of this stuff. But I think that's more so because Oda's trying to hide it so that we can actually be amazed when we get to see him fight later on. But all his off-screen feats none of them are like slouches. He beat, like we said, he scarred Shanks while Shanks was on guard. He beat Marco in the Payback War, like, and the rest of their crew. And he beat Law, like, in that fight.
Okay,
like,
well then that's exactly why he's above those characters, except for Shanks, which I don't know if by that logic.
But he
Shanks
has 2 devil fruits. He was the one that ended up killing Whitebeard. Granted, a very weakened Whitebeard, but he was the one that ended up killing him.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he didn't really kill him.
I just think...
You know what actually killed him was the whole Blackbeard crew shooting bullets into his face. Blackbeard actually did not kill Whitebeard.
He was still alive at that point. Otherwise, he would not have had his devil fruit for Blackbeard to steal. Blackbeard obviously did something within the void, killed him within there to get the devil fruit.
No. That's not what happened. What happened was he died, and then they put the blanket over him and everything because they were watching him, and they were like, "Holy shit, he's still standing even though he's dead." Like that's crazy.
No, that happened after. But we're gonna argue semantics over this.
We'll go back. All right, top 10.
Give me time to get into the top 10. Do you want to start with your top 10?
Sure. Yeah. Let me go.
Or I guess like a few of them.
I'll do 10, 9, and 8. Yeah. So I got Kizaru at 10, right over Fujitora. And then I got Saturn here, which is all the Gorosei, and then I got Sabo, right? So
that's crazy.
So Kizaru, I think, has proved to me that he is like I think the original admirals are the strongest admirals, right? Like those 3. Kizaru had some crazy feats in this one. I don't think it's hard to believe that Kizaru's top 10 at this point. His devil fruit's also like bananas. Saturn, and this is like my grouping, all the Gorosei. So here's my thing about Saturn, right? I think I had him higher on this list, but the thing is, like, I want to see a little bit more. Like the characters that he has bested right now, like the strongest one is Sanji, right? Because like Luffy was already down at this point. Like he's not, you know. So for me, like Saturn probably could go up, and like, you know, Here and then here's the thing about Sabo, right? Like I'm gassing up Sabo because he got out of there against all 5 of the Gorosei when they had these like crazy powers. So like until I see Saturn do something that would be able to pin somebody like Sabo down, like for real, I'm leaving them here. I'm sorry.
So I wouldn't have Sabo this high because of what I said earlier. We need to see more out of him before this, but I think that also kind of applies to the Gorosei and Saturn. I think we haven't really seen a lot for them, and honestly, it might be a little disingenuous to put them on the list because of that. But we know they're going to be the big bads. We know they're going to be like, if a character of Sanji's level can't stand up to them, they gotta be very strong, especially to keep control over the whole world. They have to be really strong. Otherwise, what stops the Kainu from just killing all of them, right?
You know what the problem is that I heard Saturn say the power scaling line. If I didn't want to get hit, I would have just
he
died.
power scaled himself with that one.
Now I have to keep him on the list.
Look,
What
my
are
next
your
three, I got the Gorosei, so Saturn,
Okay.
right there.
Yeah.
Number 9, I have Kizaru, and then I have Kuzan next. So just to bring up Kizaru, since it seems like we have him flipped, I think he could be a little bit relative. I don't necessarily think he was going all out against Luffy as part of my problem. I think he was more so running away from Luffy, not in the sense of he was scared of Luffy, but he was like, I have a task I gotta complete.
Treating it like
You're
a
not
mission,
really part of this. I'm trying to get around you, not necessarily through you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was kind of part of his problem. So he wasn't fighting full strength the whole time. On top of that, I think if we put him in a one-on-one fight, I think Kizaru is just fast enough and can do enough damage and can be crafty enough to get around whatever Saturn has. Again, all this could go up in time once we see Saturn do more. But I bring the next admiral onto this list, Kuzan.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the admirals, or of the first 3, are pretty relative in strength. But there is some edges. As you can see, Sakazuki is definitely going to be higher than both of these two. I think Kuzan has a lot of strong feats. We talked about it earlier. He beat Garp. He is probably at least strong enough to scare Blackbeard. We saw that earlier. In a one-on-one fight, I don't necessarily know who wins. Maybe Kuzan would win as of right now, but Blackbeard gets stronger later. But I don't necessarily know if that's true, especially if Blackbeard can nullify Devil Fruits. So, Kuzan, very, very strong.
I think having Blackbeard above Kuzan is rough for me personally, just because like, dude, Blackbeard was scared shitless when Kuzan showed up. I think Kuzan could have just leveled that shit, but I agree. Like, I think he's really strong. He should be like right here next on my list. I don't know. Let me remember here. But
your next 3?
It's Kuzan, maybe.
Yeah, there we go.
So he's right there. Like, I feel like 7's a strong spot for Kuzan. I definitely think he's stronger than Kizaru. Just, you know, he just has more feats, you know, like being able to be comparable to like Akainu at some point, and then doing everything he did. Like, yeah, I just think Kuzan's like pretty raw.
Since it seems like we both agree that Kuzan kind of beats all these characters under him, I want to go up to number 5, so 7 and 6. I have Blackbeard here, like we were just talking about, and Big Mom.
Okay.
So this might be contentious because we said no dead characters earlier, and Big Mom and Kaido may or may not be dead. Who knows? But until they're confirmed dead, I have a feeling they're going to come back, especially Big Mom more than Kaido.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to see more out of her crew. We never really got any resolution for any of that, and I think she could come back. Also, not really using this as a point, but if it's a hint towards it, in Film Red, they kind of mentioned that Big Mom like told them to go out there, and Big Mom was there. And that takes place after Wano, because we see Luffy go Gear 5. Not that I'm really using that much, but it just...
that Big Mom is alive, personally. Like, I think she has more to do in the story. Like, I think that, you know, the whole all of Elbaf and everything. So I'm personally, I'm fine having Big Mom on this list. If y'all want to cry about it, cry about it. Big Mom's on my list.
Make
too.
your own list if you want to cry about it.
List. Yeah, Kaido's on my list too. Shit. Even though he's probably dead. That guy's probably actually dead.
Who's your number 6 then? And then we'll get into the top 5.
So my number 6 is Big Mom as well. So
perfect. So I feel like we're pretty closely related to all of these. I feel like we've gone through a lot of the points. So I think we get into the top 5.
Yeah, let's hit top 5.
I have a feeling we're about to get somewhat similar here, and this is where our boy Monkey D. Luffy comes into play for me. Number 5.
Dude, you got Luffy top 5. Me too, obviously.
I think Luffy finally cracks top 5. I mean, obviously he's going to be in your top 5 if he hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Gear 5 is just so strong. We saw it go against Kaido.
That's so
We saw it go
nuts.
against Kizaru. He didn't even struggle against Lucci. He bitch slapped him out of there. Like,
People would
Luffy
argue
can just do anything at this point. And his
Yeah,
biggest
yeah,
issue is just stamina. But
Right.
if he could win a fight fast enough, he's gonna win. It's more so, can people outlast him at this point?
Right, because we saw like he gave the hands to Lucci like pretty easy, you know. I think that like stamina is like the biggest thing. The longer he goes on with this, you know, we saw it in Gear 4 as well. Like every time he used it like a little bit longer. I also think it's a little circumstantial about like how you know, like how often he's using it and how much he's using it, because like, you know, he used it more on Egghead technically than he did on Onigashima, even though I think he fought a harder opponent in Kaido on Onigashima.
I think, well, I agree. It means he's probably not getting more tired from these fights. Him using it more times already shows that he's getting more used to and more accustomed to the ability.
Yeah. But there is an interesting thing that I need to bring up with this top 5. So this is where you got Luffy, and we said you had Kaido on this list. My next one's Kaido, bro. Like, here's the deal. Here's Luffy's number 4. So here's the deal. Luffy fucking beat Kaido. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
I get it.
Dude.
Everyone says Luffy beat Kaido. I agree. But people are going to be mad at my list. I know this. Kaido went through a gauntlet of strong opponents.
All right.
He went through, if you look at this list, he fought 5 of these people on this list. Like, that's no laughing matter. He fought Yamato, he fought Kid, he fought Law, he fought Zoro, he fought Luffy. And he was still going. He didn't get a break. Luffy got to rest in between fights. He got to refuel, he got to eat food in the middle of it, take a break, and then come back. And then still lost again.
Yeah, but Kaido... this is the thing, is like Luffy was not at the level he was at the end of the fight in all those moments of the fight. Now we're talking about a Luffy that's like way above those other Luffys that like went down against Kaido while he was like, you know, Luffy was one.
So I think it goes back to what I was saying a minute ago about Luffy is people just have to outlast him. And out of all people in the series, I think Kaido can do that. I think Kaido has the durability where even if he's not winning, like, he's going to take the damage, and then when Luffy's drained, he's going to beat Luffy up. Even if it's for a split second that Luffy gets drained, Kaido's going to fuck him up. And that's kind of where I stand on it.
All right.
So, and I know that this is going to make people mad for this next one. I got number 4, not Kaido, but Dracula Mihawk.
Ah! Yo. Okay. So
I'm gonna go with number 3 as Kaido, by the way.
Okay. Well, my number 3 is Dracula Mihawk. So here's my thing about Mihawk, right? Like, I get it, bro. Like, you could put him lower than Kaido. That's fine. The thing, I'm not gonna die on the Mihawk hill because Mihawk is also featless, right? Like, Mihawk.
Whoa, he beat East Blue Zoro. Thank you very much.
All right. Anyway, so Mihawk just he doesn't have any fights against top tiers, right? And when the things that like we're talking about like real actual feats, like the strongest person that Mihawk like really actually fought against was like what? Diamond Juzo or something.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
so like
and I agree. So, and I think the whole argument here is Mihawk is the strongest swordsman, Shanks is a swordsman, they used to be rivals. Mihawk is stronger than Shanks, but we've seen so many times in this series how titles are not as big of a weight as people put on them.
They're not.
People said one-on-one bet on Kaido. Guess who lost? Kaido in a one-on-one.
Okay, but think about this. Here, let me get into this real quick.
Strongest man in the world, Whitebeard, guess what? He died also.
Okay,
like,
but Kaido's also not the strongest creature in the world. But like, he lost 7 times. You know what I mean? So Mihawk is implied to be like the strongest swordsman. You know, I'm sure like people like Odin, they didn't know was around, or like Odin was like before his time or whatever. But if Odin is able to like, he almost beat Kaido, right? Like he was like pretty close to giving him that final blow. That's what it's implied, and then he got distracted and blah blah blah. I think Mihawk would beat Odin because, like, you know, Odin was clearly not the strongest swordsman on the sea. Like, we saw him get blown back by Roger. Mihawk is fighting against somebody that, you know, is comparable to like that Roger figure in Shanks, right? So that's like my whole. I think the story is hyping up Mihawk enough to where I could personally put him against like stronger than Kaido. Like for all of the people that thought fucking Zoro was gonna kill Kaido, like Mihawk
again
probably.
And
could
I think
do
this
it.
kind of goes back to my list versus your list. Is I could see it also, and maybe we will, and probably we will in the future, but we haven't seen it yet. And until we see it, I'm not putting him that high.
It's fine. Like Mihawk, I'm not
no
again. I'm
doubt in
not
my
dying
mind
on the
that
Mihawk
he's
hill. It's
going
fine
to be up there.
So I think we.
I think now we both agree on this clearly. He ain't stronger than Shanks.
No,
like,
no.
I'm sorry, you Mihawk lovers.
I
He ain't
think
Shanks.
let's
which means I think we both have number 2 as the same thing.
I think so.
I got Sakazuki here.
Sakazuki number 2.
You also got Sakazuki.
Yeah.
I think we're probably pretty aligned on this. He's going to be one of the strongest at the end of the series in terms of him and Blackbeard are probably going to be the 2 big bads. Probably Emu also. But we've also seen his feats already. He was fighting Whitebeard without really breaking a sweat. Granted, old Whitebeard, but that doesn't mean it was a weak Whitebeard. Like, that Whitebeard was still hard on people. Like, he was still, like, fucking everybody up.
I think that
and
Sakazuki
on top of it,
needs a little bit more, personally, for me to, like, really put him at the top, like, final villain, like he is. And I think the story implies that he's this strong, right? I really want some more feats, because really right now, for me, his biggest feat is he beat Kuzan.
Yeah. And that's the other thing I wanted to say, is all of his fights are against the top tier opponents. While everyone else we see fight, they're beating up on some lower class people.
Yeah.
But Sakazuki, one, never loses from what we've seen, and only fights top tiers. And I think that's a huge like step in the right direction for putting him at the top of the list.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Which I think then everyone definitely knows our number 1.
Oh, come on. It's easy.
Who doesn't have him number 1? You're a fool if you don't think it's Shanks.
Come on.
The boy.
Number 1. Shanks top 1. Easy peasy. List over. Drop mic.
Drop mic. Walk out of the room. But really quick, just to go into it, Shanks, I mean, we've just seen it over and over again. He one-shots anyone he comes across. He did stop Akainu's attack at Marineford. Maybe not effortlessly, but he stopped it.
He stopped it.
He was able to
you gotta put Shanks
stop
above
Kaido's
Sakazuki
entire fleet. Again, like when Kaido was coming to Marineford, he stopped Kaido's entire fleet there. Like, we've just never seen him.
If we're talking, if we're talking about, like, you know, Akainu being, you know, only fighting top tiers, like Shanks is kind of only fought top tiers too, like off screen, obviously. Well, I guess Sakazuki on screen, the block was pretty impressive, but like, dude, just seeing what he did to Kid, like, he invalidated Kid like one shot. Like, we do not see that.
Like, how many of these other characters
you know what I mean?
do you think are one-shotting Kid? Because we can go. We both have Big Mom number 6, and Big Mom didn't one-shot Kid.
No, he didn't.
Like,
she didn't. Exactly.
Do we think like Kaido didn't one-shot Kid?
Right.
Like,
yeah. It's nuts.
we haven't missed.
He's got to be the strongest Yako. He's got to be strongest in show. Unless Emu pulls up and does some crazy shit, Shanks top 1. That's all I'm saying. You guys could fight us in the comments about that. I know we got the whole Shanks versus Mihawk. There's people out there. But let us know what you guys think of the list. Drop your list below too. Drop your top 5 at least. I would love to see if there's any like mix-ups. Maybe we got Big Mom a little too low.
Maybe
or
y'all want
something,
Mihawk higher.
Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe Zoro does belong in top 10. You know, like, you know, who knows?
But yeah. That's our top 30. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will be looking for comments if you guys want to put your top 10 like Anthony said. So,
yes.
But yeah, that's our list.
That's our list. All right. This is live at Onigashima. We're signing off. Until the next video. Peace.